Hey guys, it's Tim and Shauna from Beastanetics, and in this video we're going to show you how to challenge yourself a little bit more using some equipment, doing two very fundamental exercises. One is a plank, and that's what Shauna's going to show you, and the other is going to be a squat. Now obviously you could use this equipment with countless other exercises. There are so many different variations, but the basic idea here was to take two movements that you might be doing at home, and if you're doing Beastanetics, two movements that you frequently do in Beastanetics, but often just do them as a body weight version, and now we're gonna dress them up. So Shauna's gonna start with a plank. Now a conventional plank is usually from the balls of the feet and the palms or the forearms, and of course you would have your choice. The palm version is going to be a little bit more stressful on the wrist, but I think Shauna's going to show that first. Now what she's using equipment wise is called a 41-inch looped latex band. There's lots of manufacturers. I'm not even sure which one this is. Maybe Shauna can see if there's a logo. Oh, it's Sanguine. Well, you're not going to be able to find that. So, but resistance band training is one company. Woody Bands is another. And there are countless other companies that make these rubber bands. But the key here is 41-inch length, and what she's going to do is loop the band around, I believe, her back, right below her shoulder blades, and her thumbs. So pretty much, yeah, right down the center of the hand. And there's other ways that you can loop this around the hand if that's uncomfortable, but this is a pretty good basic way. And this band can add roughly anywhere from, say, 15 to 30 pounds of resistance. 30 pounds would be at full stretch. This is not at full stretch. So maybe Shauna can tell us how hard this feels compared to a plank with no band, but I'm going to guess it's around 15, 20 pounds or so. So now she's got it set up, and then from this position she's going to extend one leg, then the other leg, and now she's in her plank with core engaged, and the key for her is going to be not letting that low back cave in. There, you saw it. Keeping good alignment. She's got wrists, elbows, shoulders stacked. Neck aligned with spine. Breathing is relaxed, don't want to hold your breath. And this is a really nice way to take your plank to the next level. Okay, so that's number one. Then we're going to bring in a stability ball. Stability balls come in various sizes. This one is 55 centimeters. For most people, it's huge, and it's fully inflated. By the way, you go to the gym and you see the stability balls, and they're in sad, sad states. They're usually woefully deflated. So you got to have it inflated. That increases the challenge. 65 is way too big for most people, even tall people. So we recommend 55 or sometimes smaller. Yeah, there you go. Like, this would be a ball that Shauna could sit on and then work at the computer or at a desk. She's going to show you two ways to use this. The first way is with her forearms on the ball. So she's going to be at an incline. Now, here's the thing. The ball is creating a stability challenge, hence the name stability ball. And so that means she has to work a lot harder to maintain the neutrality of that plank. In other words, we don't want her flailing around, wobbling, rotating her hips, dropping her hips, etc., etc. So it's hard to see, but I know she's working pretty hard. But she's in an incline, so that makes it a tad easier than what she's going to show you now, which is at a decline, and that means her shins are going to be on the ball. Toes. She's going toes. It's even harder. So now the ball, it's hard to see, but that ball wants to move. And Shauna wants to keep it stable. And if you try this, well, first of all, make sure you can do it and maintain the position without falling off. If you can't, it's a little bit too advanced. And there's the shin version, right? Yeah, definitely a little easier. You have more surface on the ball. Now, I wouldn't quite say it's a decline because of the height of the ball and because of the length of Shauna's arms, but it's probably more challenging. There you go.
That doesn't necessarily feel harder.
Yeah, it's going to vary, but more challenging typically than an incline. Okay, so that's a third way that you can make your plank tougher. And the fourth way, it's a little funky. This is another looped resistance band, 41-inch band. This is yellow, so it's a little bit lighter than the red one we showed you. But here's the thing. This one is attached to a grab bar on the wall, and it's attached to the bottom of the grab bar such that when Shauna gets into her plank and she loops this around her head and then around her waist, it's going to be pulling her towards the wall, and then when she gets into her plank, she has to fight that resistance, and that means her obliques, right, those ab muscles, her QL, quadratus lumborum, and really her entire body has to work hard to keep her stable and aligned. Otherwise, if she didn't have the strength, what would happen is her hips would start to move towards the wall, and her shoulders and her entire body. So with this type of equipment, you would do one set facing one direction, and then you would turn around and face the other direction, so you balance everything out. So if you're doing this for Beastanetics, and if you haven't tried it, we certainly hope you'll give it a shot. We invite you to try it. You want to do one set one way, one set the other way. Okay, guys, so 4 simple ways to increase the challenge of your plank. Now I'm going to jump in and show you 4 simple ways to increase the challenge of your squat. Okay, so what we have is just a basic dumbbell. Now this one's only 15 pounds, so it's not particularly heavy. And it has a flat surface, well, flat enough that I'm able to rest it here. Hopefully it's not going to fall over. I was just at the gym doing this with 75 pounds, so that gives you a little perspective. This is light, but what I like about it, it's going to be a deep, wide squat where there's very little arm involvement. It's going to look like my arms are involved, but they're really not. The effort's transferred to the legs. So I'm going to drop down. I'm going to show you both ways. I'm going to show you straight ahead, and then I'll go profile. So I'm going to drop down so that I can get my hands under here, and I'm really barely holding on. I mean, holding on enough so it doesn't fall over. From here, I'm going to stand up. So my legs did that. It looks like my arms did, but they really didn't. Then I'm going to drop down. I can let go so that it becomes a deadlift and come back up and drop down.
You see Tim's shoulders are very quiet when he does this. He's not doing a shrug.
Right. So let's see it from the side view.
He's stabilizing his shoulders while...
Sean, I can tell you how it looks because I'm not quite sure.
Looks good. Back is straight. Most people have a tough time to know what to do with your head in a squat to get your neck aligned with your spine. You could spend the whole day working on that. Tim's look pretty good. Maybe a little hyperextended.
So the advantage, what I like about that style is you can get into heavier weight and you don't have to do this. To get into that goblet position, which can be really tricky. So I'm going to put this down. And we're going to go, speaking of goblet, so we're going to go med ball now. Now this is different because, first of all, it's soft. I'm going to go right to the chest. And I can wrap my hands if I like. Now here I could go a little narrower, but I'm going to stay pretty much the same stance. This is light. This is only 8 pounds, but these balls come much heavier. But the key is tight to the chest.
Yeah, you're loading your back as well as your legs.
Yeah.
Really.
So if I go out here, it's a lot of shoulders. So stay here.
Yeah, when you see from the side, you'll see he's not bending forward at all.
Right. Right. So I don't want to be there.
It's not a good morning.
I want to be there. Okay. So these come in all kinds of weights. This is only 8, but they go to 30, 40, 50. So we'll get rid of this.
Whee! Whoa!
Whoops. Now, some of you don't really have much equipment at home, and that's fine. Conventional backpack, small. We've added a bunch of different ankle weights, but
soft.
These could be books, cans, as long as it's not uncomfortable on your back. We have 19 pounds here. And so I'm just going to zip this up, put it on my back, tighten it up a little bit so it's comfortable.
And load it as high up on your back as you can get, why a nice, small, well-fitted backpack is suggested.
So I'm going to tighten it even a little more, and then you guys can see from the side how that looks. And now from here, try to keep my feet parallel. I can go arms out. I can stay here, go from the side, arms out, arms crossed. Pretty comfortable. And it's 19 pounds, which is not nothing. So I'm going to get rid of this guy. And then the last one, this is a 9-inch looped band. So much, much, much smaller, much thinner. I think resistance-wise, we're talking maybe 5-6 pounds or so. Going to go 1 foot, 2 feet. Now for it to be comfortable, I want it to be flat. So see if I can set that up a little bit better. Maybe not.
Yeah, you want to bring it, do you need help?
That's okay. So, depending on how much time you have to recover, this may or may not be the best choice. But what it's doing, its band is bringing my legs together, specifically my knees, and I have to maintain good knee alignment in my squat, so the muscles that are working the hardest are going to be the outside of the hip. So now when I drop down, let's see if I can maintain that alignment.
Also when you come up, it's very important.
And also up.
Almost more so.
So here's what we don't want. We would not want something like that, right?
A lot of people can go down, and it's when they come up out of the squat that they really start to pronate, right? And so if you're working against the band to maintain the work in the right place.
Exactly. And so you may need a coach,
Deep in your head.
mirror, partner, somebody just to keep an eye on you. So that's a fourth way. So we showed you 4 variations of the plank with extra resistance, 4 of the squat. That's 8 different pieces of equipment. Well, 2 were the loop band, but they were different levels.
The stability ball.
And 2 were the stability ball. Okay. So 6 pieces of equipment. And of course, there's so many others, right? You got your kettlebells, you got your Indian club, you got all. But we just wanted to give you a little taste of this. Hopefully that's helpful. Feel free to subscribe to our channel. Thumbs up. And if you have any questions, jot them down in the comments below. And we'll be happy to answer them as quickly as we can. Okay, guys? Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.